Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. If you need flexible small business financing, Kabbage has the answer. Kabbage helps small business owners access capital right away without any headaches. Apply online or from your phone. You'll get an automatic decision and you can use any amount you need when you need it. Kabbage has supported over 130,000 small businesses with $4 billion in funding. Visit Kabbage.com/outdoorbiz. When you qualify, you'll get a $50 Visa card that you can use anywhere. That's Kabbage with a K. KABBAGE.com/outdoorbiz. Line of credit is subject to credit approval. See terms and conditions. All Kabbage business loans are issued by Celtic Bank, a Utah Chartered Industrial Bank, member FDIC. It's great to catch up with my good friend and longtime outdoor bud, Kenny Ballard, on the show today. Kenny tells us about his outdoor shenanigans as a kid, his first retail store, our experience launching Montbell in the U.S., his time with Kelty, Wenger, Osprey, and much, much more. Good morning, Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Rick. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Happy Easter week, right? Have you guys going to break or been on break? It's always different.
We are, kids are on break, and we're actually, this is the final day of the month for our fiscal.
Right,
so
right.
We're open today, but we're closing on Monday.
Nice. Good for you. Awesome. Yeah. You got big plans this weekend?
Thank God. I'm going to actually get outside and do some biking.
Cool.
And do some hiking. It's been raining lately, and so the snow's off. So I've got a fat tire bike, so I ride that in the snow, and it's perfect for right now. I got a almost a 2-year-old blue heeler, so she loves to mountain bike. So any chance I can get out, she rides with me. She's awesome. So
that's
we're
terrific.
out and do riding, maybe some fishing too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, awesome. So, what was your first outdoor adventure exposure to the outdoors? Was that as a kid?
Yeah. I grew up in a small town in Connecticut, and we had huge fields, and Connecticut River was in the backyard. There were trees, had a huge side yard and backyard, so we used to camp out in the summertime, and we'd go down the fields and ride dirt bikes and BMX bikes, back then when it was called BMX, and build mountain bikes before they were mountain bikes, and go carp fishing, and it was kind of like the Tom Sawyer lifestyle. So it was
nice.
Fantastic. It was really just being outside. I was never indoors. My mom was always, get outside, go have fun. We had, this classic, tons of kids in the neighborhood, so we'd build tree forts and raise hell and have a good time in the outdoors. So that was really about it. And then growing up, I had 2 older brothers, one who's 11 years older. He was always the hippie in the family, and one who's 8 years older. And we used to bond memories of when I was a little baby all the way up through teenage, going on family camping trips. So we'd get the Army surplus Boy Scout wax canvas tents, go out to the Cape or down to the North Carolina shore from Connecticut. And so it was kind of an interesting experience. First glamping experience for the Ballards was on a crappy old cot that busted in a wax canvas tent.
That's
being
great.
Eaten by mosquitoes on the Cape.
We were free range kids back in the day before free range was a term, right?
Oh, totally, pal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So were you a scout?
I never was. There wasn't a really good scout group in that town.
Okay.
So really scouting was just out scouting locations for tree forts and having a good time. That was really the extent of it.
That's awesome.
And my oldest brother was a hippie, so I used to go backpacking on the AT with him.
Oh, wow.
And he's the one that got me into backpacking. And with an old Boy Scout, actually, it's funny, old Boy Scout frame pack. And then I had a Kelty external frame pack. And so did that. And then bike touring as a kid in high school as well.
Yeah, so you've done it all.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what was your first outdoor job?
Well, besides raking leaves and shoveling snow and delivering papers on my bike, probably in college teaching sailing. So I grew up on Long Island Sound and got into sailing when I was 12 years old. So I started racing and cruising and stuff like that. And so it's probably teaching sailing in the summer while I was going to college.
Nice.
And then got into retail right after that, and in a small sailboard shop that I started with 3 friends, and then got into repping and started working with Harold and Wendell, who you remember?
That's right.
One of the day, buddy, when we were doing Eagle Creek and Yakima and Sierra Design. So that was, late 80s. And in a really, really cool time for the outdoor space.
Man, amazing time. I didn't know you had a retail store. retail shop?
Yeah. Right. I actually left college early and started with 3 friends. We built it off the back of my buddy's dad's dentistry. He had a bunch of money, so he's like, "Yeah, we'll keep you guys out of trouble." So we'd sail together and ski together in Vermont. He was at Middlebury, and I was at UVM. So
Very
we
cool.
know each other and known of each other. So yeah, it was sailing and windsurfing and skate. Actually, we had a small little skate shop in there. Believe it or not.
Wow, I hadn't heard that story. That's great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and we met when we were the part of the whole the first coming of Mont Bell to the U.S. You guys, Harold and Wendell, and you guys were doing the Northeast. I was doing the West, and a bunch of other great guys around the country. That was fun.
Oh my God, yeah. Weedman and oh my God, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was good. So you've had a pretty successful career in the outdoor space. You worked obviously with Mont Bell and other brands like Yakima and stuff you mentioned as a rep, and then you had a stint at Mont Bell and Kelty and Swiss Army and Osprey. Tell everybody about what the hell that was like.
Yeah, so after you and I were on the road being road warriors there, I moved out to Santa Cruz to get closer to you and Ronnie and everybody else. And so I was director of sales at Mont Bell, and that was an interesting period, wasn't it, man? With bringing a Japanese brand into the U.S. and really launching that. So I think at one point, I was living in Virginia when I moved down from New England, and I had 11 states, Eastern Canada, and then finally moved out to Santa Cruz and then got on the inside. So I made that transition from kind of road reptile into
so that was your first internal gig was Mont Bell.
That national sales manager role and then director, and then we went through that turbulent time where they got bought by Land's End, and then that whole transition happened, and they got involved with OIG and Hapclot back in the day, and we had a number of brands like Wild Roses and Quest. Remember those days?
Yeah,
Quest
that's
and
right.
Wild Roses and Mont Bell and that whole portfolio, and then that sort of blew up, and I moved back here and worked for a phenomenal little brand, Mad River Canoe.
I forgot about that too. Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so again, able to connect and stay connected with a bunch of people in the outdoor space, but got into the paddle sports side of things. And then from there, moved out to Kelty and came on in 2000, Y2K.
That's right.
Man,
that's
forever ago. Almost
you
20
came
years
on
ago.
right after I went back to Eagle Creek. I was going to go there and decided to stay at Eagle Creek.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember you had a look.
Yeah.
Exactly. So got in national sales manager there, and then moved up to director of sales, and then took over presidency when Casey left to go do the Patagonia gig.
Yeah, that was a good run. How many years was that? 6 years? Okay,
and so for me, I was there for 2010. Finally left in 2010.
Nice. Yeah, that was a great run.
Saw through a ton of different transitions, from publicly traded company to privately held with the private equity group, and saw a bunch of transitioning the brand from classic old school backpacker to park and play, family camping.
Yeah, you launched that whole camping base camp thing, and all those cool little bags to keep your kitchen kit organized. And
exactly.
Remember
we
that.
got involved in the military at that point in time, so we did a nice little military law enforcement tactical business, and then came back here to New England, back to Vermont, and started a consulting business. And I got hired by one of my clients. It was a group based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So for just over 2 years, I traveled back and forth between Vermont and Minneapolis and all over the world doing supply chain sourcing. We launched the Swiss Gear camping brand at Target, and we kind of tried to revitalize the Wenger Swiss kind of higher end camping brand under the Wenger label.
Okay,
so
yeah.
did that. So we launched Swiss Gear camping brand at Target and had a pretty good ride there. And then the group I was working with changed focus and ownership, and I found myself back in Vermont, which is great. Did some more consulting with a brand called Airstream. I know those guys. Yeah. And had a good time doing that. And that's where the guys at Osprey found me. So back in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. So we loaded up the wagons and moved out to southwestern Colorado and started at Osprey as the COO.
Another great brand.
And, awesome brand, and just an incredible history. Like a lot of those brands that we were just talking about, what really drew me to that, and what we'd been competing against Osprey for a long time, but it was such an incredible brand. Category leader, Mike and the team there.
Mike's amazing.
Geniuses.
Well, were you at Mont Bell when the early days? That's when I met Mike. He was still in Santa Cruz then. Remember that?
It was. I first met Mike and Diane actually back in Santa Cruz when I went down to the store.
Yep.
And I remember seeing some of this craziness going on there.
Right,
so I was privileged to work with those guys and did a lot of work with Osprey in the day, whether it was moving, warehouse up to Utah, consolidating that, building a new warehouse, getting that up to speed with a great team up there, to defining and refining processes behind the curtain.
Wow. So, man, you've done it all.
Growth.
You've worked with almost
jack of all trades, master of none, maybe.
That's the saying. I think you probably mastered a few.
A couple, maybe.
But you've worked. I mean, front side, back side of all these great brands, and then you've also worked across the retail channels from, mass with Target to high end specialty with outdoor, and that's a pretty great experience.
It's been a really wild ride, and I think what's really been interesting about it is seeing how not only the consumer has evolved, their tastes have evolved, and how the industry's tried to keep up and at least try to understand that consumer arc, and how that's then related to retail. Online retail wasn't a thing for us way back when, was it?
Oh, right. It didn't exist. I mean, I remember email didn't exist. No email.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're really dating ourselves.
We're getting old, yeah.
We are, buddy. It's been really an interesting arc from the consumer point of view, engagement in the outdoors, engagement in action sports, seeing kind of the ski industry, the outdoor industry, paddle sports industry evolving and changing over time as the end consumers become more global and as their interests have changed and evolved. And then what's been really fun is seeing the industry try and respond to that and get in front of the curve, seeing the huge brands getting bigger and still there's space for small, unique brands to get into that space.
I remember when everybody was kind of, resisting the online thing, and now it just overwhelmed us, and we have to embrace it. I mean, it's here to stay, and the consumer's calling the shots, and it's not going to go away.
It's not, unfortunately, and I think that for a good thing, actually, because I think it opens up a tremendous opportunity for small brands, small retailers to reach out and have that connection directly with the end consumer. And if they're smart, they do an omni-channel strategy, then they get to tell that story not only through retailers, but also directly to the end consumer.
Right. So
what do you get to tell that holistic story?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on how some of these, specialty outdoor in particular, because we've both got more experience there, and this is the Outdoor Biz podcast after all. Well, how do you think these guys are going to evolve? I mean, we see a lot of them, A16 closed another store last week in Tarzana, and it's just sad. And I just, some of them are quick to jump on it. Uncle Dan's, Colin Moynihan up there is doing a great thing. Mark Sherman up there in your neck of the woods is doing, trying to embrace all that stuff. Yeah. But then others are just,
you guys are awesome.
Yeah. They do a good job. What's your thoughts on how that's going to go?
I think the thing is that it's going to evolve, and the reality has changed upon us, whether it's in a political standpoint or societal or whatever it may be. Change is a constant. It's always happening. I know it's a trite thing to say, but it's the truth. Yeah. And I think from having been a retailer back in the day and 1,200 square feet, doing very well at that time and evolving and seeing, from a sales rep from different sides of the table, that whole retail experience change. I think the biggest thing that all of us need to focus on is connecting with the end consumer and telling a story. Yeah. And you'll see people that tell a story incredibly well in store in a brick and mortar environment. Guys like me, old guys like me, love to go in and have that visceral experience of touching, feeling, smelling, where my wife is predominantly online driven. She likes the convenience of that. So for all of us out there, it's how do we connect with the end consumer, and how can we tell our story to them in a way that has meaningful differentiation and engagement. And I think that's the key. And no matter what you're selling and where you're selling it, it's how do you connect with the end consumer and create relevance and differentiation. And
that's a good perspective.
Clearly what I'm seeing, whether it's the Outdoor Gear Exchange of the world or other successful retailers, is looking at an omni-channel strategy, recognize that they have to have an online branding or selling presence. They've got to have some kind of brick and mortar touch and feel thing. So that omni-channel, I think, really still has some legs.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Sizing of retail is changing. Obviously, I think we're still over retailed, but I definitely think that nowadays the internet has opened up that capability for that smaller specialty retailer to tell their story effectively.
Yeah, everybody compete on a level playing field, right? Online, it's a level. Yeah, it's based on how technologically advanced you are and how well you do with building your site. And now you're with the Mountain, completely different space, and that's pretty much a direct to consumer biz, right?
Actually, surprisingly, 80% of it is through wholesale. We sell in over 30 countries.
That. Okay.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Until I got the call from the recruiter, I'd never heard of the brand.
Same. And, Kenny went where? He's doing what? Yeah, when I heard that.
What? Yeah, the Mountain? What? Sounds like an outdoor company.
Yeah.
But what really appealed to me is the fact that it's an art company, that's based in southern New Hampshire. We got 130 plus employees.
Cool.
Founded, over 20 years ago by a couple of hippies that made concert T-shirts, and they brought an art component to that. And what's amazing is, for me, I looked at it and said, okay, yeah, they're a T-shirt company or apparel company. That's great, whatever. But really, fundamentally, after meeting the people, it wasn't about the product. It was about the art. So we have 35 plus global artists, and I've got an art team here of 5 people.
Nice.
So we can curate, and really develop pretty unique art, whether it's, Trump on a tank or, kitty cats with top hats or, Americana.
I'm looking at a dog face pillow right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. And what's interesting is the brand is pretty viral. The 3 Wolf Moon thing is kind of crazy. Huh. So for me, what I loved about this and because I wasn't really looking to make a change out of Osprey, just this popped up on the radar screen. I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
It has an incredibly broad audience, a global audience.
Yeah.
And as I described to the people here, going, who doesn't have a T-shirt in your closet? And most people do.
A few,
and
right?
Not everybody needs a big face T-shirt, but that's where the bandwidth and the brand width comes into play. And I think it's fun. Really passionate people. They've got a really cool production process here, and it's all about bringing art to life, whether it's on a T-shirt or a mug or a dog bed or a pillow or a blanket.
Yeah. And you produce it all there.
It's really cool. Yeah, we do all the apparel here and the mugs here. And, right here in little old southern New Hampshire.
Awesome.
And we do it in a really eco-friendly way, which I really like. It's a closed-loop system. We, recycled over 6 million gallons of water in that printing process.
Wow, good for you.
And we use all organic dyes and water-based inks, so there's nothing petroleum, nothing nasty in it.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I got to check that out a little more. So, any nonprofit you guys work for? I'm sure you must. With that,
we do. We have a couple. There's a couple that we're involved with. We're really excited about. We just launched a Protect line. We have 10 endangered species, and we are taking proceeds of that, putting it directly to the ground for what we call Purchase with a Purpose. We do that same thing with a vets group. A couple of deceased Navy SEALs that went to UNH. So we have Operation Hat Trick that we deal with.
Nice.
We donate to the Best Friends League, and then locally here, we're going to get more involved with the local community through developing an artist collective, mentoring new up-and-coming artists here in Keene, and really kind of putting our roots even further into the ground here.
That's great.
And doing trail work and work with the homeless, work with at-risk families as well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And any personal nonprofit? Do you own any boards or anything? Or?
Yeah, I'm actually on a really cool one, Rick. There's my daughter has a horse. My daughter suffered from anorexia and PTSD and trauma, and so she is through all of that as much as one can be in their life.
Yeah, probably never through, but great.
Yeah. But what's really cool is she's connected with a local farm here. So we got her horse, and she wants to become equine therapist. So working with kids and adults using horses as a medium. So we connected, and I became on the board for a local group called Cooper's Crossroads, which is based out of that farm. So it uses farm and animals and horses as a therapeutic component for helping people get through trauma, whatever lifetime trauma, childhood trauma they have. So I'm on the board of that. I'm really excited about that. We just launched that.
Oh, cool. We'll link to that in the show notes, definitely. You guys have a website. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's neat.
That's great.
And then just getting involved in the local community with homeless and trail work and giving back.
Yep. Good for you. And I'm sure you're still active in the outdoors. I see some of the posts you do. What do you do? You still paddle and bike and all that? Yeah, I know you bike. So I mountain bike and road bike, and I got in the whole 27 and a half plus. Changed my world. It's awesome. That's what I've heard. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh my God, it's transformational. It's fantastic.
Cool.
And fly fish, we were lucky because we have one of our buildings is in 1803 is a mill building, so it's right by a creek that has fish in it, so I can fly fish right out the back of my other office.
There you go.
And tons of water around here. So bike, ski, fly fish, hike. We're going to be doing a bunch of camping this year too with the kids. So,
Great.
And some backpacking. Get my wife back out backpacking again.
Awesome. That's fabulous.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's fun.
So you had a long, successful career in the outdoor biz, transitioned a little bit, still doing great things. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into the outdoor biz or grow their career if they're already in?
Absolutely. First and foremost, you got to follow your passion. That's the great thing about the outdoor spaces, as corporate and commercial and big boy or big girl league as it's become, and kind of big business. It's still made up of a group of really passionate individuals. And so follow your passions, figure out what you're really good at, what you are or great at, and go for it. And I think you got to be curious. You have to be persistent. You got to think outside the box. Networking always helps.
Yeah.
It's, indeed, that's a great thing about this industry is there still are folks out there that are humans that have a connection like you and me over decades of time and places and spaces and jobs. So networking is really, really key. And to do that, go to the shows. Walk around the show. I mean, it's really a magical space. And as much as, outdoor retailer can be a grind sometimes, trade shows can be a grind, it really is.
It's like a huge high school reunion.
To go to see what's going on. Yeah, it totally is, isn't it? Kind of go, oh my gosh. I always think, the place where you go to see people you only see twice a year, but you have an instantaneous connection with. It's wonderful. That is one of the things that keeps bringing me back to this space is that connection to folks like yourself and, the Ricky Schlesingers and the Steve Barkers of the world or whomever it may be. It's just, there's a great group of folks.
So will the mountain, will you guys,
up and coming folks.
Yeah. Will you guys be showing at Outdoor Retailer soon?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah,
We've been there in the past. We are, for Spring 19, we have a really, really cool collection of more outdoor and outdoor lifestyle images and products. So if you don't see us this year, maybe in the future.
All right, cool. Well, stay tuned, folks. More news to come. Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? Meditate, you exercise a lot, walk the dog, all the above?
I do, all the above. A little bit meditation, yoga, that kind of thing. I don't do that. I don't bend very well these days. So
me either.
For me, it's...
I don't bend, period. If I bend, I break.
Exactly. So for me, there's some meditation and spirituality that I bring into daily. But for me, it's my relaxation at work. I walk the production floor and I talk to the staff out there.
Cool.
It's really, really wonderful to see the people that I'm working with and to recognize that, I get to be a leader of 130 plus people every day.
That's great.
And, make some coffee and give my wife some tea in the morning. We hang out and I take the dog to daycare, take my son to school.
Nice.
And that's always wonderful.
Very cool.
And get out, ride the bike. And now that it's a little bit sunnier outside and a little bit later, I can get outside and ride with the dog.
Exactly.
And go fishing, which is great.
Awesome. So tell us about some of your favorite books or books you give as gifts.
Okay, two different paths for me.
All right.
So I love escapism and science fiction, like Neil Gaiman, Neil Stephenson. Those are some of my favorites. So there's some great storytelling there. So I love kind of that step above sort of the summer beach book because I like to kind of get in that whole escapism kind of thing.
Yep.
And then the other side of the coin is kind of business books, whether it's the Good to Greats or the Malcolm Gladwell books. There's a whole bunch of them out there. And generally, I don't love business books, but what I like about certain business books is they get you into a place where you can think creatively and think differently. And I love that about it. Some of Gladwell's stories about different companies and how they look at things. I just love that learning and that exposure and that creative spark that those things give. So if it's personal friends, I usually give kind of fun escapism. If it's business professionals, I usually go to the kind of the standards.
And do you have any go-tos that you give or favorites, or just it keeps changing? Like, yes, I don't feel like me. I mean, I have a couple of favorites, but there's so many great books out there. I have a stack all the time.
And the biggest challenge is getting to that stack, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get to, I'm looking at my bookcase and I think I've got probably 35, 40, and I've only read about 10 of them. Good to Great's always a good one to go to because it really talks about building teams and getting everybody aligned. Talks a little bit about leadership, so I like that. anything really that is unique, differentiated, and that has real practical experience that comes of it. I love.
Gotcha.
I like that part of it.
Perfect.
Thought provoking. Yeah.
And how about a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Okay. Well, I have a lot of gear that I've been very fortunate to be given to me over the years by colleagues and friends. So I'll throw that out there. Something I actually put money down on, cracked the death grip on my wallet and spent money on. My Jetboil and stove and Java kit. I love that. That is awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned that. Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
It's amazing how transformational that whole system has become. And it's great. And then the other thing is, I can't forget my GSI. Those guys at GSI make some incredible cookware. I just love it. We do a lot of base camping. I've got a pop-up Sylvan Sport Go trailer that I love.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so we go out there. I get to use the Jetboil. I get to use a whole bunch of stuff. But those are the biggies.
Awesome.
Under $100.
Yeah, that's good. Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
I think the say is get outdoors, have fun, do what makes you feel great, and inspire others in small actions and words and deeds. And have fun. Life's too short. Have fun.
Yep, I love it. And where can people find you if they want to reach out and ask you some questions? Or
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, my email, kballard@themountain.com, and I return all the emails. So,
awesome. We'll put links to all that. Well, thanks, man. It's been great catching up with you again. It's been too long. We got to
Indeed, pal.
Get together over a beer sometime and swap stories.
I would love that. That would be wonderful. And thanks for doing what you're doing. It really is wonderful to go on and reconnect with people that I haven't seen in a while, and to understand how this community of fantastic people you're fostering and curating that community. And it's really fun to go on. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
We'll do, man.
Great. You're keeping the industry alive and getting people psyched.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, the inspiration came from OR. We go to this high school reunion twice a year, and it's back slapping, story swapping, and then we go dark for 6 months, right? I mean, you connect with people that you're working with directly, but you lose touch with the Kenny Ballards on the East Coast and the Jeff Wiedemans up in the Great Lakes area, and it's like, how do we continue this? So here we go, the podcast.
This is great. Yeah. Thanks for being a party host, bud.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kenny Ballard. You can catch up with Kenny on LinkedIn and by email at kballard@themountain.com. That's BALLARD. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 91. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.